Futures no like that. 海外説明するのことです。皆さんどうもゲブです。僕のチャンネルへようこそ。On today's video, I'm going to explain all the disses made to Drake by Kendrick Lamar in Future's song Like That. I think it's important for me to provide you with some context. There's going to be 4 things I'm covering in this video. The first thing, I'm going to cover Drake and Kendrick Lamar's relationship. The second thing I'm going to cover is going to be Drake and Kendrick Lamar's falling out, how they started dissing each other, how the relationship turned bad. The third thing I'm going to cover is the song that Future had, Like That, and all the disses that Kendrick Lamar made towards Drake. And then the last thing I'm going to cover is what's going to happen next. Is Drake going to respond to this? Is he just going to ignore it? What I think Drake should do and the best way to go about it. Without further ado, let's get into it. So Drake and Kendrick Lamar had a great relationship before the fallout in 2013. When the Control verse dropped. I'm gonna get into that later in the video, but when Kendrick Lamar went to perform in Toronto for the first time, Drake took it upon himself to welcome him to the city. They went out, different places to preview music for each other back and forth. Kendrick Lamar at this time played Drake Section 80. Drake was the first person outside of Kendrick Lamar's camp to hear that album. When Drake heard that, he said, "Hey, I gotta get you on Take Care," which is arguably Drake's best album. I mean, it's one of my favorite ones. I got the vinyl here. Like, this is a phenomenal album, arguably Drake's top album. This and Nothing Was the Same, which there's gonna be a reference to later that I'm gonna tell you about for that album. But Drake said, "I gotta get you on this album," put him on the song Buried Alive. In return, Drake was on Kendrick Lamar's next album, the song Poetic Justice. Every time they were on the song with each other, which was only a couple of times, it was a phenomenal masterpiece. The chemistry was very well. I mean, we were just super excited to hear these guys together. And then they were on the song Everyone Problems, which was arguably my favorite collab between the two. I mean, both of their flows, both of the songs, but just amazing how they, on their verses, it was amazing how they did awesome on that. And then everything changed when Kendrick Lamar released his verse on Control. This was a insane time for the community. I remember when I first heard that. Let me get into how that changed their relationship for the worse. As big as a Drake fan as I am, this is all Drake's fault. The reason the relationship went bad is Kendrick Lamar dropped arguably one of the best verses of the decade back in 2013. Big Sean had an album called Hall of Fame that he tried to put the song Control on. For some reason, it wasn't able to be cleared during the sample clearance. From there, he just released it for free and just put it on YouTube or something like that. And when people heard it, they went crazy, including me. I heard the song with my friends when I was in college, and I was just like, what in the world is going on? Like, this is a time period where like rap was kind of getting stagnant, certain things weren't as exciting, and Kendrick Lamar dropped arguably the verse of the year in 2013, probably the verse of the decade, where he was just having fun, challenging other rappers. There's a part where he calls out at the end of the verse, like, I love all these rappers. I love Drake, J. Cole, Eminem, Big Sean, J. Cole, all these people, and he's like, but I'm trying to kill all you. I'm trying to murder all you when it comes to rapping. I'm the best rapper. You guys don't come anywhere close to me when it comes to my skill and ability. I'm trying to be the very best. I'm gonna make sure all your fans worship me instead of you. Like, he's just going in, having fun with it, and just being very competitive, which is the sport of hip hop, you know what I'm saying? So people got very excited when they heard that. Everyone just like, oh, rap is coming back, hip hop's coming back. Let's get back to rapping. A lot of people did different covers to that. Eminem responded to it, Big Crit, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people did their own versions of that song. It was an exciting time. Some people, when I say some people, Drake took offense to this verse. He took this verse personally for some reason. I mean, people from all different type of rap were mentioned, A$AP Rocky, all these people were mentioned, and Drake for some reason, here's this interview. This is the whole reason everything went bad. This interview is the reason their relationship went bad right here. I'm gonna check it out.
The verse was a moment to talk about. Are you listening to it now at this point in time? Okay. And then, but it was real cool for a couple weeks. But if I asked you, for example, how does that verse start? Oh, do you remember? No, and now mind you, it'll go on in Complex and Rap Radar, give it verse of the millennium and all that shit or whatever. But I'm just saying, it's I remember somebody asking me, or maybe it was you that was like, is Kendrick Lamar your biggest competition like in this generation or whatever? And I think that Kendrick has like the utmost potential, man. Like, you know, I see Kendrick tomorrow, I'm gonna dap him. I didn't feel the way about that verse. I get it. I get the moment. Like, you know, he's a good guy. And like, I know that verse had no malice behind it because I saw him 5 days later at the VMAs and it was all love. So it's like, he didn't come on there on some wild, like, I'm in New York, fuck everybody, don't look at me. Like,
I'm the king.
So it was, you know, it was one of those things. It's like, I almost wish he had come in there on that shit because I kind of lost like a little respect for the sentiment of the verse. If it's really fuck everybody, then it needs to be fuck everybody. It just can't be halfway for the sake of the people. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, that's just how I feel. Yeah. But anyway, like, you know, I still like, when it comes to competition, I'm more worried about consistency. I'm more worried about bodies of work. I'm talking about hit records. I'm talking about, I'm basically talking about like, you know, there's one as Kendrick goes, like, I can't wait to see what he does because now it's time to show and prove. And consistency it's been one album. Consistency is like, you need more than one album, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's time to show and prove. And I look forward to seeing what he does, man. He's fucking super talented. So yeah, cheers to Kendrick Lamar.
See, if you're a friend of somebody, you just don't talk like that. Like, why is Drake talking about Kendrick Lamar in this way? Of course, he praises him. He gives Kendrick Lamar his flowers. He talks good about him, talks about his album, says all these nice things, but gives him backhanded compliments. You know what I'm saying? He's also throwing him under the bus. He's making light of his light of the verse. He's like saying all these things that you just don't say if you're a friend of someone. Like, and they saw each other. He should have, you know, been an adult and said, "Hey, man, I don't like this," you know, and told him to his face instead of like behind his back in front of this crowd here trying to be funny, which as a big man, I'm a huge Drake fan and I just didn't like that. It left a bad taste in my mouth, right? I was just like, come on, Drake. And obviously Kendrick Lamar didn't like that either. And boy, when Kendrick Lamar saw that and responded, Drake got what he deserved. I'm not gonna play that because there's some explicit stuff there. I'm just gonna tell you a couple parts of this verse that we were all like, woo! So Kendrick Lamar says on the BET cypher when he's rapping, which is a phenomenal thing. I'm gonna put in the comments a link to it so you can see it. So let me tell you what he says here. He says, "You're either corny or an opportunist. I'll let you eat and I'll get back to church and still crackers to the communion." What he's saying right here is that from this verse, from Control, you're either gonna take it one or two ways. You're either corny and you're like Drake, you're gonna make fun of it, you're not gonna see the importance of it, you're not gonna understand what's going on with this, why this is important for hip hop, and just talk about it in a negative way. Or you're gonna be an opportunist. You're gonna take the opportunity to be like, hey, I'm gonna capitalize on this, I'm gonna make money off of this. That's when he's saying, "I'll let you eat." That's just a way that we say, you know, as a slang, like, you know, I'm eating right now, I'm eating good, like, you're making a lot of money, you're doing well in your business. He's helping people eat, you know, helping people get that money, help people, you know, be successful. And that's what we all understood. I think everybody understood that Kendrick Lamar is just doing this for the game of hip hop, making people enjoy rapping, and certain people, Drake, took offense to it, which was crazy. I didn't understand that. I still don't understand why Drake took it the way he did. Maybe he was jealous. Maybe Drake just didn't understand it. Maybe Drake thought they had a relationship where he wouldn't mention him, but he was like, if you were mentioned in this song, it meant that you were a great rapper. Like, everyone understood that if you were mentioned in this song, this is Kendrick Lamar praising you, not trying to tear you down. And Drake thought he was trying to tear him down. So it was just like, I don't understand why that whole thing happened, but Kendrick Lamar responded in that way. And here also, getting back to his verse, this is where he dissed him directly towards Drake. He says, "Yeah, nothing's been the same since they dropped Control and tucked a sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes. Nothing been the same since they dropped Control," the Control verse. Nothing was the same was Drake's third album, one of my favorite albums, phenomenal album by the way. To me, that's kind of like, for first place, Take Care, Nothing Was the Same, they're neck and neck for me. Those albums were phenomenal. But he references his album, Nothing Was the Same Since They Dropped Control, and tucked a sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes. So the pajama clothes part, this song called Bedrock, was a very, very popular song. I can make you bedrock, girl. That song's super popular. Drake in that music video is wearing his pajama clothes. There's a lot of memes from that. He's very well known for being in his pajama clothes from that music video. So he directly, everybody knows he's talking about Drake. And Drake definitely took the situation very sensitively. Like, I don't know why he was so sensitive about it, which is the whole thing, like, Kendrick Lamar is calling him out. And because of this verse on the BET Cypher, they just go back and forth doing disses to each other subliminally. Nothing is direct. This is the most direct that everything's ever got, you know what I'm saying? And then after this point, Drake tries to rectify the situation. I hear that he tried to reach out to him, tried to do amends. In interviews, he's speaking highly of Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar's not having any of it. Because of this moment here, their relationship never got well again. Like, they never came to terms with this. And this is all Drake's fault. Drake, this is all your fault, man. Like, it is what it is. It's all Drake's fault. So, this is why the relationship went bad. Next, let me tell you how Kendrick Lamar dissed Drake in the Like song of Future, which is a phenomenal song. Let's get to it.